The new Idea Tab Pro from Lenovo currently starts at $329, which actually seems pretty good at first glance, but how does it compare to Apple's new budget or entry-level iPad 11? Well, let's talk about it. The price of these two are going to be pretty similar, with the iPad only costing about 20 bucks more in the United States. However, with the iPad, you get 4 different color options and 3 different storage options at 128, 256, or 512 gigabytes. For Lenovo, you only get 128 gigabytes of storage, at least as of this video. You do get a micro SD card slot though with the Idea Tab Pro to expand the storage. Just keep in mind, you can only move files, images, music, that kind of stuff, not apps. Both of these have an IPS LCD display, but you can see the Idea Tab Pro is quite a bit larger at 12.7 inches versus 11 inches for the iPad. Lenovo has 2944 by 1840 resolution versus 2360 by 1640 for the iPad. Lenovo also has up to 144 Hz refresh rate versus only 60 for the iPad. But once you put these next to each other in person, you'll notice the iPad is a little brighter with better viewing angles. It just looks a little better in most cases. So it may come down to personal preference and what you're looking for as far as which has the better screen. Battery life is a little better on the Idea Tab Pro, lasting about 6.5 hours versus only 5.5 for the iPad 11. In my typical battery drain test at 100% screen brightness, but keep in mind the iPad has a brighter screen, so if you turn that down a little, they're probably going to be pretty similar when it comes to battery life. One advantage for the Idea Tab Pro is it has up to 45 watt fast charging versus 20 watts for the iPad. When it comes to software, Lenovo is on Android 14 versus iPadOS 18 for the iPad. One nice thing with Lenovo is you've got PC mode, which is pretty similar to Samsung DeX if you want to be a little more productive. You can also use an HDMI adapter to connect to a projector, TV, or external monitor with both of these tablets. Both tablets have pen support, but it's only included with the Idea Tab Pro, where the first gen or USB-C Apple Pencil is an extra cost for the iPad. I think both are nice options if you need to draw, take notes, or just move around the software. If you have other Apple products like a Mac, it might make more sense to use the iPad since you can easily airdrop files. I feel like it's also easier to cast the iPad screen to your Roku TV. Of course, that may come down to what kind of streaming service or brand of TV that you have. Nice thing is you get a fingerprint scanner right on the power button for both tablets. I think it may come down to personal preference, but you can do a lot of the same things on both of these. But another advantage for the iPad is when it comes to software updates. You only get 2 years software updates for Lenovo. With iPads, you typically get about 5 years or more, so that may be something to consider as well. As far as performance goes, the iPad has the A16 Bionic chip versus a MediaTek Dimensity 8300 for Lenovo. You do get 8 gigabytes of RAM with the Idea Tab Pro versus 6 gigabytes for the iPad, but the iPad is going to be quite a bit more powerful in single and multi-core scores. I also ran the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme tests on both of these, and as you can see, the iPad is clearly more powerful with a little higher frame rates as well. Of course, with the iPad being a little bit smaller, I feel like it's a little easier to handle and to reach things on the screen. If you're using a Bluetooth controller, it's always nice to play games on a larger screen, like with the Idea Tab Pro. But again, if you want the tablet with better performance and that's better at gaming, you'll want to go with the iPad 11 in most cases. When it comes to speakers, you've got 2 on each side for Lenovo, only 1 on each side for the iPad, even though Apple makes it look like 2. I think both of these sound pretty good in person, but Lenovo has the advantage here where it's a little bit louder, just has a fuller sound to it. But here's a quick sample of each just to see if you can tell a difference.
Fade to gray. But I know you too long. It hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray. As you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away.
When it comes to cameras, you've got a 13 megapixel rear facing on the Idea Tab Pro versus 12 megapixels for the iPad, and then 8 megapixel in the front for Lenovo versus 12 megapixels for Apple on the iPad. You can shoot up to 4K resolution for video recording for both of these, but in my experience, the iPad is definitely a little better quality overall. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what to expect. So as you can see, there's a lot of good things for both of these tablets, especially considering the price. Some of it may come down to personal preference, but I think the iPad is probably a better option for most people considering the better performance and longer software updates. But if you like tablets, phones, and other tech, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on, including more comparisons. So you'll want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.